This is a balance sheet. The column headings are January, February, all the way through to December, which is being entered in row 1. At the end of the month, we have a total. The row headings. We've got, first of all, the first section, we've got the assets. So each are assets, cash and short-term investment, accounts receivable, inventories, other. Row 6 is blank. This is where we'll work out the total number of total costs of the assets. Second part of this table, we've got the liabilities, accounts payable, accrued compensation, income tax payable, and others. These are all our liabilities. In row 11, we're going to work out the total cost of the liabilities. So that would involve adding all of these figures up. And for the total assets, we're going to add all of these up over here. Then finally, we're going to calculate the shareholders' equity by subtracting the assets from the liabilities. To start off with though, we're going to work out the totals for each of these individual assets and then the totals for each of these individual liabilities. So placing my cursor at the end of row 2 within the table for to work out the totals for the cash and the short-term investments. Starting off with the equals to initiate the function. The name of the function, which is sum. Open my bracket. I'm going to highlight all the data that I want into my sum function. You can see that up here on the formula bar, the formula is building. So the current formula is saying equals sum, open bracket, C2, colon, N2, close brackets. I'm happy with that formula. And remember, every time you have an open bracket, we close the bracket. And the colon signifies a range of data. I'll press the Enter key. I'm happy with that formula and use as assuming we're going to be using relative cell references. So I can use the fill down command to extend these totals. Moving my mouse gradually into the corner. As you can see, my mouse has changed from a chunky white cross to a small cross, and I can fill that handle down. Let's just check our formulas that have been filled down in O3. You can see the formula building. If I click into the formula, you can see the range of data has been highlighted by a colour. Equals sum, open bracket, C3, colon, N3, close the bracket. That's correct. Same over here for the formula in O4, equals sum, C4, open bracket, C4, colon, M4, close the bracket. And same again over here. The relative cell reference has moved to row 5. I'm going to do the same for the liabilities, starting off with the equal symbol to add up all the data ranges for the accounts payable. Sum, open brackets, highlight all the data in that range, close the bracket, press the Enter key. So I made £20,943. Again, using that fill handle, hovering my mouse in the bottom right hand corner and pulling down. So initially my formula was involving the cells in row 7. So I'm just going to check the relative references that is gone to row 8, which it has, I'm happy with, and in row 9, which it is, and in row 10, which it has. I'll continue with the AutoSum feature to calculate the total assets for each month. Starting off with the equal, name of the function, which is sum, open the brackets, the data range for January, let's close that bracket, press the Enter. I'll do the same for February, equal, name of the function, which is sum, open bracket, highlight the data and close the brackets. You can see the formula building would be the same for all months, so moving my mouse to the bottom right hand corner of the cell for the total assets of February, which is in D6, hold down my mouse and I'll drag that all the way to December. Let's just check. Let's use relative cell references. So hopefully, well, in January I was using column C, in February I was using column D. So hopefully it should increment. March is in column E, that's correct. April is in column F. May is in column G. June is in column H. July is in column I. August column J. September column K. October in column L. November column M. And December uses column N. I want to work out the totals of the total assets. Again, it'll be the same function, or using an AutoSum to add the data up. So I can use my formula that was held in column N for December and fill that across. And it's produced a slight error. The formula works, but the column is too small. So if you come across this error message, what you need to do is extend your column to make it wider, because the data is not visible because the column is not wide enough. I'm going to move up to the columns. There is, move your mouse so that it looks like a double-headed arrow with a line in between it, in between the column. And if I simply double click it, it will adjust it automatically to make the width wide enough for the data to be visible. It's also returned another error. It's got a little green in the top left hand corner. That is showing you, that is Excel telling you that there may be an error with this formula. There isn't. It's just assuming that as I've got a formula above that adds up, uses AutoSums, and I've copied that formula down. It's just checking, is that correct? Is that what I wanted it to do? You can go in and check it. So it's saying inconsistent formula. It should be copied from above, perhaps. So if I come in here and just check in my formula bar, did I really want to add up 02 to 05? I did. So I'm going to click inside this error message alert, and I'm going to select ignore error. Moving on to the total liabilities, placing my cursor in C11, where I'll be building a formula to work out the total liabilities for January. Starting off with an equal, sum, open bracket, highlight the data in the range, close the bracket. The formula being built is equal sum C7 to C10, which is adding up all the cells for January. Press my enter key to move on. I'll do the same for February for demonstrative purposes. Equal sum, open bracket, the cell entries for February, press my enter key. And you guess what's going to come next? Yes, I'm going to use the fill command. Bottom left hand corner of the cell for February, and move my cursor along. And again, bear in mind that we had an error message for our totals for the assets. I'm going to fill across to the totals for the liabilities, and the error message has not appeared. I'll complete this spreadsheet by now subtracting the total assets by the total liabilities. Starting off with the equals, the cell reference for the total assets for February, which is D6, subtract the total assets for total liabilities for February, which is held in D11. The formula being built is equals D6 subtract D11. I'll just do that one more time before we fill across. Equals the cell reference for the total assets for March, subtract the total liabilities for March. Press my enter key. There we go. I'm going to fill this formula across all the way to the end for the totals.